Well, Google is getting bigger and bigger. Recently, they just acquired a company called DoubleClick, I think for about $1.6 billion. What does it all mean for advertising on the internet? We've got Mathew Ingram from the Globe and Mail on the line to help us through it. Thanks for joining us, Mathew.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Can anything stop Google now? DoubleClick, obviously a very big firm as far as advertising on the internet. It's been around for a number of years, and I'm actually surprised it hasn't been snapped up earlier. But any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Google's expanding in a whole bunch of different ways. I mean, DoubleClick is really just part of what they're doing. They're expanding into radio ads, they're expanding into newspaper ads. They're basically trying to do for advertising just about everywhere the same thing they do for advertising online. So now they have search-related ads, keyword ads, and now with DoubleClick they have banners and pop-ups and all those other things. They're really expanding into advertising wherever it appears. I imagine we'll see Google do a sort of mobile ad-related deal if they haven't done one already. I think they're really trying to take the tools they have online and find some way of making them work elsewhere as well. And the big question is whether that's going to work or not.
It's surprising. Again, DoubleClick's been around for a number of years. I question why hasn't it been snapped up before. Some people say that Google paid too much for DoubleClick. What do you think?
I guess that's always an issue. Did they pay too much for YouTube? Hard to say. Did they pay too much for DoubleClick? I think part of the question there, dollar-wise, let's face it, is they wanted to keep it away from Microsoft, I think, and probably keep it away from Yahoo and other people as well. Better to have it in their hands, so pay a little bit extra. They have just so much cash flow coming in at the moment. Paying another sort of $500 million or $1 billion or whatever probably didn't make that much difference to them.
Well, it's interesting, and you and I have talked about this before, with Yahoo and Microsoft. They seem to not I guess, missed the boat on some of these opportunities. Google just seems to beat them to the punch quite a bit.
They do, and it's also interesting that this is still sort of in the category of rumor, but John Battelle said he spoke to someone at Microsoft about this deal, either at Microsoft or Google, I can't remember now, but he said that they told him Microsoft actually upped their offer so that it was higher than Google's, and DoubleClick chose to go with Google instead. And if that's true, that's a very interesting decision on DoubleClick's part. There's a whole bunch of reasons they might have done that. A better cultural fit, a better company to work for, free food in the cafeteria, who knows. But it would be interesting if they decided, Google's the wagon we want to, or the star we want to hitch our wagon to, instead of Microsoft. That would send a message to Microsoft, I would imagine.
It's quite interesting. I'm sure it was the food, Mathew.
Yeah, probably. All that free candy.
Do you think they're going to keep the name around? Right now, obviously, YouTube's still a brand name. Is DoubleClick a brand name to them, or are they just going to integrate it right into their product offering?
I doubt they're going to keep the name. I mean, DoubleClick, YouTube is a brand name because people associate the content with it. DoubleClick is just an advertising network, so I don't see why they would bother. On the other hand, why change it? I mean, run it as, a division. I don't think it much matters, but there's no question that the operations will be absorbed and sort of become part of that whole advertising, menu that Google has now, online, offline, newspapers, radio, banners, keywords.
It'll be interesting, like you were saying earlier, if they can keep it all together and actually grow with it. I mean, they do have their fingers in a lot of different pies now.
They do, and I think the issue with, for example, radio and newspaper ads is those are still trials that they're doing. The existing industries are not reaching out to Google in the way people online are, so they don't have sort of that built-in, we want to go with Google. If anything, those industries see Google as a threat. So, and to a large extent, the things that make Google's advertising strategies work online don't work as well offline. You can't track people's behavior as easily. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they actually bring anything to the table offline the way they do online.
Well, Mathew, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Mathew Ingram from the Globe and Mail. You can check out more of his articles at globetechnology.com.